Hello. Good
morning.
morning. Ooh, that was nice.
Look at this, a working microphone.
It is. Look at the microphone. Yeah, we can see the waveforms. If you're not sure what we're referring to, pop over to our YouTube and watch our Listen Up Part 2. Admittedly, the first 5 minutes of it, pretty good comedy. Not for us, but for your viewing pleasures.
A little chaotic.
A little chaotic. I've also showed it to quite a few people, and they just crack up the whole time. It's ridiculous. Anyway, hi, welcome to Book Buffet. I am Courtney. This is Rachel. We are both teen librarians at the Addison Public Library, where we are. And this is the first time that a lot of you have probably seen this room. It's the first time that we've streamed in this room. This is our sound studio. If you notice the sound reduction panels all along the way, it kind of does actually make sense that we'd be in here.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to before I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to take the room away from patrons if they were using it. However, we're going under reconstruction now. So this week we're really starting up on a lot of the changes, which means that all of the offices on the third floor have moved into our large meeting room, so that's not available. A lot of our
that pushes the program upstairs,
right,
to the adult program room,
and which pushes the adult program room over to the teen program room, which is where we were streaming. So right now, I think there's chair yoga. Yeah, I think chair yoga is going on right now. So if that's interesting to you, we have chair yoga.
And as long as we have a room, some
right,
space to put it in, but I think once that room's gone, it will be in the teen program room.
Yeah, so there's programs that end out in that room that we were in before at the same time that this is going, or just there's a little bit of an overlap. So just to make life easier for everybody, I just booked this room out for a long time. And so we'll be in here for at least the book buffets. But next Tuesday, we have a Let's Play. So you'll see us in a different room then. Next Tuesday, not next Tuesday, Tuesday, because it's, the coming Tuesday. Tuesday we have Let's Play Something New. So I'm gonna search through and figure out something from our new collection. And we'll play something fun and different. Hopefully I'll pick some, I'm gonna try and get something that I've not played before. And yeah, you won't be there, but I think Claire is gonna be joining us. Yeah, so you'll get to meet Claire.
New to everyone.
Yeah, Claire showed up on some of our newsletter review things. So I'm excited. Anywhoozles, we have, outside of the renovation going on, right now it's pretty tame in the number of changes. It's going to be a bit wild for a while now, but we're getting into it. I saw that they were building the big garbage chute in the back. Yeah, the trash chute is getting built up. Right now it's currently scaffolding. They were absolutely watching me as I parked my car.
I feel like we should ask if we can have a live stream as they work on the third floor. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun. Okay, we'll think about it.
Even if it's just for us.
For true. Yeah. And like we said, we're in the sound studio. This is actually a room that you can check out and use. There's tons of stuff here. There's a fancy microphone, which is actually absolutely adorable. It's really cute. There's, just looking around, there's a Apple computer. There's a bunch of sound equipment. We've got a keyboard over there.
A lot of things to convert.
Yes.
Audio, video things.
So VHS to digital.
Vinyl to MP3.
Yep.
8mm and Super 8 to MP4.
That's cool.
Converting analog to MP4.
Yeah. So if you have those big projects where you want to convert those things, this is a nice little spot for you to sit in and work on it. We've also got scanners, all sorts of stuff. There's a record player over here.
Which says not DJ equipment.
And it's correct.
And I feel like there's
it's not meant for scratching.
Story there.
Yeah. It's not meant for back and forthies.
No.
So yeah, there's tons of stuff in here. You can check out the room. I think 7 days ahead of time is the thing. Yeah, it's a great space. we've had a lot of people use the space for tons of reasons. So hopefully,
Including
yeah,
their own streams, I'm sure.
yeah,
Things like that.
there's definitely been some podcasts going on in here. So hey, we'll go with that too. Another thing going on at the library right now is winter reading. So, winter reading is, the winter version of summer reading. But it kind of has its own little jam. So, I've talked a lot, so your turn.
Summer reading, for those who know, you come in, we give you a bag with a book and gifts related to the book, and it's all yours to keep. Keep the book, keep the gifts, keep everything. For winter reading, it's a little different. We give you a gift, and we tend to do like a little mug, hot chocolate, marshmallows.
We got a nice little mug,
something extra in there.
Chocolate. Yeah, there might be little things. The bags might be different depending on
between adult, teen, children.
Yeah,
some differences. But for the book side of things, you check a book out from our collection.
Yeah.
And the fun part about that is that it opens it up. We're not limited to these are the 10 books we have for winter summer reading. We've got the whole library. Yeah. But we do want to make it more so than like, oh, I know I want to read this book. I'm going to just pick it up and go and get my gift. We would like to recommend you a book. We would like to challenge you to read something new to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a brand new book, but like a new genre, a new format, something new, right? It's a new year.
New year, new you.
Try something new.
Yeah, give it something different. And like librarians, this is our job. It is to help you find something that you would like. So if you're just like, but I only like to read thrillers, did you know that there's these things called subgenres? like you can absolutely love a certain particular genre, but there's a lot of books that are in different genres that have a lot of the same elements to them. So you can still read something that is relatively familiar to you while still being new in different ways. So that's the game we're playing today. So you don't like this, but have you thought of this? Kind of a thing. So I guess we've got a whole pile.
We have a whole pile.
We got a pile. What are we thinking?
I'm trying to think of like some of the more common things we hear, which is
well, okay. Let's
start with what we know, which is teens.
Yes.
A lot of our teens like horror. They like horror, they like crime, they like killers, things like that.
Right.
So we're trying to introduce them to other genres besides, like, yes, you can check out a horror book, but let's show you some other things that may be horror adjacent. So, oh, I like horror, I don't like romance. Okay, but what if the romance involves a ghost?
Mm-hmm.
What if there is like an element of haunting within the romance, right? So we have a kid who essentially falls in love with a ghost, a spirit.
Yeah. This one is dark, for sure. So if you also like your sort of like dark and brooding kind of stories, this is Cemetery Boys by Thomas. We're relearning this space. Wonder if I can, maybe in the future I'll grab like a light magical alley. Yeah, fancy.
Cemetery Boys.
There you go, Cemetery Boys.
But yeah, it's a kid who wants to prove to his family that he can be a witch the same as the rest of his family. But it goes wrong. He brings a kid back from the dead.
Oops.
And then is like, I need to get rid of you. This is not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then falls in love.
And that kid's got trauma.
Yeah.
So it's dark. It's romance. It's fantasy.
Funny.
It's horror. So like it touches on a lot of different little things in here that you might not have normally gone towards. And yeah, there's definitely some. I do believe that there's also like some social justice threads through here too. But yep, that's a fun one. It's a good one. Entertainment Weekly calls it groundbreaking. Let's say like, hey Rachel, I love I like history.
I have lots of options.
You do have lots of options.
You like history?
I like history.
You like history?
Yeah, you like history. But like history books are like super boring. Like they're just not nicely written sometimes, or they feel like they can kind of like droll on.
What if it's a graphic novel?
Ooh, what is then? So this is Pinball, the graphic history of the silver ball. And like we said, it is a graphic novel. It's got such really great illustrations. So this is just straight up nonfiction, historical record of like how pinballs were made and like literally pinball's illegal and like why somebody decided to do that in 1942 in the Bronx. And sort of like how pinball kind of picked up and found its way into the world and sort of like became a cultural icon. And
I like
that's a really good spread. Like, look at that spread. It's really good. Yeah, we need to work on lighting in here.
I think we can get a ring light.
I've got like that light box thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll add that into the thing of what we will be doing. But like, if you're kind of interested in like giving nonfiction in a different way, or like you have struggles with reading nonfiction, we've got a lot of graphic novel nonfiction books, and they're really fun. Like they're about a bunch of other things. Hi, Itchy, glad you're here. Read a book about pinball.
Yeah, and she did not go on to the Games Done quick stream.
Oh, high praise.
I think they're playing a Star Wars game right now.
Oh no, now we've lost Itchy.
No, I mean they're playing something really boring.
Super boring. That has nothing to do with Star Wars. But it could be about pinball. Yeah. So hey, this is our Games Done quick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so if you're like nonfiction is real rough, it's droll and whatnot, we've got tons of graphic novels and like about everything.
Or if you're like, I only want to read graphic novels, but like maybe or comics, like maybe you're more of a comic reader or what we would think of as a more traditional graphic novel fiction story. What have you tried a nonfiction? Have you tried nonfiction graphics?
Like, did you know that there's graphic novel cooking books? Like,
yeah,
there's like Let's Make Ramen is one of them, and that the book looks so good.
Yeah,
by itself, it's just like a delicious looking book. What else we got?
Okay, so what if you like? Wait, you do like history?
Yeah,
but you don't like horror.
Lighting dudes.
Start.
All right, this is Dread Nation. So this is history, but with zombies.
It's an alternate history.
Yes.
Of what if I believe the Civil War is fought.
Yep, Gettysburg. So this was when so the main character was born 2 days before the Battle of Gettysburg, where the dead began to walk the battlefields of Gettysburg, derailing the war between the states and changing the nation forever. This is a new America. Safety for all depends on the work of a few, and laws like the Negro and Native Re-Education Act require certain children to attend combat school and to learn to put down the dead. So this is a history retelling.
Of what if the Civil War had zombies?
What if the Civil War had zombies, and how would that have changed the course of literally everything? The main character is a young woman who is pretty darn cool and, just like, yeah, she's a zombie hunter. Like, if you're into that sort of thing, or if, like, you ever read, like, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which if you're just like, I'm into the classics, but frankly, I find them to be mind-numbingly boring. Guess what? There's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yeah, or if you're like, I've read so many history books, I need something different.
Like freshen it up a little bit.
Alternate history.
Yeah, you got an alternate history, and there's tons of these. And if you like your darker flavors or like your horror movies and things like that, Dread Nation's a great one. This also has a sequel too. So yeah, that's a fun one to go for. Yeah, I was just like, it's a wild time.
What if you're like, sci-fi can be a hard one to get to people because they have non-readers of sci-fi have an image of sci-fi that's it's aliens, it's space, it's,
right.
you know, hard sci-fi, difficult to read.
Yeah.
We all know that's not true, right? Like, there's a lot of different types of sci-fi. What if it's a fairy tale?
Ta-ta.
Cinder. What if it's Cinderella?
What if it's Cinder? So what if it is a technically sci-fi, and by technically we mean incredibly.
It's sci-fi. Yeah. We have cyborgs, we have androids, we have tech that is not on Earth right now. We have people living on the moon.
Oh yeah, that's good times.
Yeah, so this is sci-fi, but it's a retelling of Cinderella.
And it's so good.
It's very good.
It's so good.
This is the beginning of series.
Yeah, and there's like 4 books,
I believe. Yeah, 4 plus some like short stories.
Right.
So yeah, in the first one we meet Cinder. Eventually you're gonna meet Rapunzel and Snow White.
Scarlet, Red Hood.
Yeah,
Scarlet's really cool. Scarlet's probably one of the best ones.
See, I liked Cress. Cress is my favorite.
I loved Cress too. So, Cinder is, as we said, retelling of Cinderella. It's sort of like a future version of our world, but still kind of recognizable.
Well, there's a plague, so yes.
That it's recognizable. It was not recognizable when the book was written, but it is feeling very recognizable now. So Cinder is a mechanic of sorts. She sort of like does whatever work she can to support her family, but very secretively.
Her stepmother and stepsisters,
right? As expected. She loves her younger sister, who is sick, and that's incredibly hard for her. Cinder herself is secretly a cyborg. So she's got like a leg and an arm, or a hand, I think, that is very secretly. And in this society, cyborgs. Oh yeah, it's actually pretty fun. So cyborgs are discriminated against in this world, so she has to keep it secret. One of her besties is a prince, and adventures abound. This book by itself is very self-contained. However, the very end of it, you're just like, oh wait, there's a whole world of story that's about to be blasted into me. And the rest of the books follow subsequently and are really, really good. It's a whole wild cast of characters, really entertaining. They're all nicely written, and yeah, we just love them. The new the books have been republished, and the new covers are just like num 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 num. Like we have like some of the new covers, but not the new cover of this one, which is.
So look, cool. I need someone to come check this out.
Yeah.
Give it a good, like, crack that spine, read it real good, and then maybe we'll get the new cover.
It's also like a fantastic diversity rep across the board.
Yeah, like it's the whole series. Yeah.
It's so good. So it's got a little bit of romance, but that's not what it's about. Lots of like strong characters.
Adventure.
Yeah. Like some culture clashes. Yeah, and like the fairy tale retelling, it's just.
This is definitely one we would give to a kid who's like doesn't think they like sci-fi. And we're like, here's one way in to sci-fi.
This is a good beginner sci-fi. Yeah,
especially for a kid coming from fantasy, coming from a kid who's, just coming to us in 6th grade that's grown up on fairy tales. Yeah. Those are still very fresh for them.
Yeah. It's recognizable, which is nice. It's sort of like reading, like when you read fan fiction, you kind of understand what the characters are and what's going on.
And it's fun to see all the Cinderella Easter eggs, like all the nods to like, the Disney Cinderella, or even just like Cinderella tales that we've grown up with. The Brandy Cinderella.
Yeah.
Those key. I mean, of course, there's the shoe, but
truthiness.
Yeah.
We're a big fan. If you can't tell, we recommend this one a lot, and it gets checked out quite a lot. It's got good page feel too.
Okay, but what if you want me to read sci-fi, but I don't know about sci-fi, and I also don't know how I feel about fantasy or fairy tales?
Yeah.
What if it's horror? And what if it's horror sci-fi?
What if it's horror sci-fi? I put this a little bit closer to, so in the scale of Battle Royale to Hunger Games, this is closer to the Battle Royale section.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with those stories.
So it's hard to see the title, but this is Murder Trending.
Hashtag Murder Trending.
Murder Trending.
This is also great if you like your reality TV shows, but in a bloody kind of way.
Yes. So it's sci-fi because the main aspect of it, why it's a hashtag Murder Trending, is it's based on an app, the Postman app, which is where the citizens of our good public can watch executions.
Hooray.
Through the app. Yes. So it's dark. That's why, we have it in sci-fi, but it's a horror sci-fi.
Yeah.
But then our main character wakes up and has been wrongly convicted of a crime and is going to be the next person executed on this app. So she's got to figure out a way out in that situation. And, we're going to learn, of course, that maybe a lot of these convicted felons were wrongly convicted or don't deserve to be executed. So another one that we do hand to a lot of teens who maybe don't see themselves as sci-fi readers, and think, oh, I like horror, I only like horror. But then read this and are like, oh, okay, that opens the door.
Yeah.
To more sci-fi reading.
It's fast-paced, it's thrilling. I mean, it's not big. It's not a thick book. That is a reasonable sized book. Also, if you like it, it's a series. Because I think the
is Murder Funding.
Yep.
Because if we know anything about apps, they need to be funded.
Gotta be funded. And if you're also like, that feels a little shallow, there's some strong commentary in this story.
That's where the sci-fi part comes in.
Sure does. Sci-fi is sort of like a breeding ground of social commentary. So yeah, it's not science fiction, it's society fiction. That's actually pretty cool. I like that I just said that.
All right. What's next?
Myrrh. Let's talk more about societal expectations. The one over there. And keep going. Ding. Yeah. Let's say you're just like, I'm not a big fan of like kind of ultra macho, strong, like hyper masculine kind of characters. But what if they're fanboying about K-pop? I'm not gonna lie, I just wanted to talk about this one. This is called Yakuza's Bias. It is a manga. So this is just, I found
it would be new to a lot of readers.
This would be new to a lot of readers.
It's very popular in our library, but
absolutely,
it's very popular with the kids. It's popular with and adults that it's popular with.
Yeah. So this is a genre mix of sort of like drama with comedy. So it's a dramedy.
Yeah, it's a dramedy.
And I personally have not read it yet. I cannot wait to. It looks so fun. So in Japan, historically and whatnot, I'm not going to speak to the validity of things, but just based off of what I understand, there are the Yakuza, which are similar but incredibly unique to like mafia and various types of gangs and crime organizations. I think that's the best way to call it. They have very strong like qualities that they have, and they also like they have to behave a certain way and present themselves a certain way, or at least that's how traditionally they're portrayed within manga. Yakuza stories tend to be quite hilarious because they're like very stringent but also like silly as well. It's sort of made fun of. So this is Ken is one of the top lieutenants of a feared Yakuza outfit. He lives his life by the code of the Japanese underworld, where nothing is more important than loyalty and the ties between soldiers and their sacred bonds. So that kind of like gives you a baseline. Ken has never had time for hobbies until the boss's only daughter drags him to a K-pop concert, and he sees the glittering, charismatic June for the first time. Smitten like a new recruit on his first job, Ken plunges into the fandom with a solemnity and passion only a true man who walks the way of the Yakuza could muster. So he just like starts fanboying over this K-pop, so Korean pop, K-pop star. And like it's ridiculous. Like he gets so excited and it's so funny. But like just flipping through, there's like all these serious faces, like so serious. And then like lovely little singing. Like, it just looks so fun. So this is kind of if you're wanting to sort of like, you want a bit of a drama and you want the seriousness, but then it's like stepping into satire. Or if you want something that's like silly and out of the norm, this is also a good one to go at too. I just wanted to talk about it. Like, I'm so excited for this book. I can't wait. It looks so good. I think I found out about it like a year ago and I was like, Rachel. But now it's here. Now it's here. Right.
And I think too, for like someone who is interested in manga, there's enough of like, okay, I think Yakuza, it's something we see in a lot of our pop culture. So like, okay, that's something that I could maybe understand. K-pop's very popular. Some mangas, like, you have to know a lot about Japanese culture to even understand the plot of the story.
Yeah.
Where I feel like this one, it's like, okay, this is a pretty recognizable plot.
It explains itself pretty well. I would agree.
So you can spend more brain power on learning how to read from right to left if that is new to you.
That is the trick. I think also manga is a really good option if you're kind of like burnt out on varying things. Because you have to read from
Your
right
brain
to
works
left.
in a different way.
You kind of have to like rewire how you read a manga. But also like their narrative style is different. I mean, it is a Japanese narrative style. Every, culture tells their stories in a different way. Historically, that's just how stories and culture work. But it's just, it might be nice and refreshing for you to like kind of step outside of what you're used to and give like a different perspective going. So even if this seems like that's not really for me, there's a million kinds of stories across every single genre that I could have just pulled from, but I just wanted to talk about this one.
You like romance? There's manga romance. Do you like crime? We can find you a manga crime. We can find you sci-fi. We can find you horror. We can
and like even on the back of this one, like there's some great suggestions.
All sorts.
So all sorts. It's not perfect, but what is? It's a good time.
All right. So what if you are not a nonfiction reader, but you want to challenge yourself and read some nonfiction this year? What are we thinking? Well, I got a couple options. Let's start with this one, Inaugural Ballers. So this is a nonfiction, and it is about the it's the first U.S. women's Olympic basketball team.
Ooh.
So it's, like I said, it's nonfiction. It's all real stuff. There's photos, the actual team.
That's what I love about nonfiction is like, I always feel like since there's photos in it, I feel like I'm cheating, and it's not as long as it.
But for readers who are like, I don't know, nonfiction intimidates me, this reads like, it's narrative, right?
Yeah.
It's a story of this Olympic team. It's a sports story. There are chapters that are straight up play-by-play of the games.
So it's like watching a game.
Yeah. But you're watching like a whole season.
Which is awesome.
A whole season of this.
You don't have to wait week to week.
Yeah. You could flip ahead and spoil yourself if you want.
True. Yeah, there's scoreboards.
Yes, there are scoreboards. But you get to see how this team came together, what the like world temperature was on women's basketball, specifically in the US, like how we felt about it here versus how other countries were feeling about it. So it's a lot of fun, especially considering how popular women's basketball has become just in the last 2 years.
You're a big fan.
I'm a big fan. I got in like 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And it has just exploded since then. So it's good to see like where we came from.
Yeah, and like I don't like sports in any way. However, like the Paralympics, I'm obsessed with, and that's also kind of got me paying more attention to stuff. And now like Alana Meyer and stuff is like, that's getting me into rugby and whatnot. but like that's sparking my interest too, because
Yeah.
like I like learning how things become.
The other fun thing about this is it's YA nonfiction.
That's really nice too.
So if nonfiction, adult nonfiction truly does intimidate you, I always say try a YA.
Yeah. And I would agree. Like the tone is different overall. Because like they're writing for younger folk.
For a younger audience, but that usually means that they're breaking these concepts down a little bit more. They're not like patronizing, you know, they're not making it for a kid. It's not like a cutesy story. Like it is still all the challenges this team had to go through.
We also tell like teens who are just like, I don't want to read a nonfiction. It's like, okay, that much of the thank you for the reviews. Enjoy your meeting. So this much of the book is notes. It's not like the story or anything. It's just like footnotes and scoreboards and stuff like that. Like the stats and the index.
That's bonus features.
Yeah, that's bonus. That's bonus stuff, which is great if you want to do that. Like when I absolutely read the appendix of the Lord of the Rings, because I did. But like that's a bunch of stuff that you don't have to read. So the book suddenly got a lot shorter.
It's a little less intimidating. It will be a little bit more straightforwardly written than a lot of adult nonfiction can be.
And going through this right now, like just quickly skimming, it reads narratively.
Yeah.
So which is nice. It's kind of droll when it's like in 1954, blah, like it's not a textbook.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times
mostly chronologically, but also it goes thematically.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people think of nonfiction and history, they're thinking they're textbooks, which were not written to entertain you. No. And this looks, I'm actually interested.
Yeah, I thought it was
so yeah, I like it. I would also say that nonfiction books are also a really good option for audiobooks.
Yes.
Because they kind of read like podcasts. I'm currently listening to The Wager, and so far that's good nonsense. Yeah. So I like that one.
Maybe you do like nonfiction though, and we got to break you out of that, and we got to try something else.
Yeah, you're like, I read too much real stuff.
What if
I need more nonsense? Romance.
Gone by Nightfall, but it's historical romance.
Ooh.
This one is set in Russia in 1917. So right before the Russian Revolution, she meets a man. What's her name? Charlotte. Meets a tutor, Dmitri. So like you would think, starts off as a traditional, just like historical romance. Oh, how sweet! But then the Russian Revolution is about to happen. They got to get out.
Spoiler:
they need to leave Russia.
It's not great. It's not.
So then it becomes a story of like escaping Russia, with this added element of romance.
That's cool.
Will they escape together?
So yeah, like a little bit of everything in that one. And this is, I feel like history in general too. Like people have their specific interests with things. And I think there's a lot of fascination around this time period.
But yeah, we do have a lot of kids that, I learned about the Titanic in school. Please let me read everything about the Titanic. I think a lot of kids go through a Titanic phase. So there's a lot of nonfiction about the Titanic, but we have a Titanic romance. We have a Titanic heist novel, where it's like these fictional stories, but they are going to be set in history.
Yeah.
And I think the good ones, the ones that like really want to be faithful to the history, will have some extra elements in the back.
Yeah.
Whether it's timelines or
yeah.
further reading, other places you can go for this information, or they'll just say like, here's what was true in my story and here's where I took some liberties.
Yeah, like the note in the back is, like all writers of historical fiction, I found it a challenge to decide what to include in the story and what to leave out.
Yeah.
And that's a fair assessment. But at the same time, it's like if you're somebody who like really doesn't like history or things like that, but you're into romance, this is a great way to like dip your toes in.
Yeah.
Because this is shelved in romance. It is first and foremost a romance, but it's also a historical fiction.
Yeah, maybe you're a romance reader who wants to get to the edges of romance, and
right.
And then maybe from there you can jump into
Yeah.
something a little bit more traditional history.
Yeah, we're looking for like the gateways.
Yeah.
You know, like try something a little bit different. But you know, something that you're familiar with and comfortable with and that you would enjoy, but just a little bit different too.
Let's round off the nonfiction. Here we have a memoir. And so this one is actually adapted from an adult memoir, The Beautiful Struggle, by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
I do love those.
So what's cool about this is for a nonfiction reader, you know, here's something that's slightly smaller. Again, adapted for young adults. So you're getting all the same information. You're getting like nothing truly changes except I'm going to write it in a way.
Yeah. There's quite a few like memoirs and biographies that mostly memoirs really, that are adapted for younger readers, that have the same general content. Like they won't pull punches, but they will select where those punches go. You know, like I Am Malala's one, and like some of the details are much more graphic in the older version than the younger, but the younger is still pretty jarring. Like that would sort of be a similar.
These are just a little bit more curated, and they're going to make sure that you hit on all the same things.
So that allows you the beauty of choice. Like how much of this are you comfortable with? But yeah, usually the young reader ones are also a lot shorter. But yeah, they're really good ones.
Good intro. Like someone like me, like memoir and biography are not my usual go-tos.
Yeah.
I will read a young adult, something adapted for young adults. That's my in and my way to it.
I would agree. And also like perhaps like nonfiction is not your thing. But like a memoir is sort of like it's through the eyes of somebody. Yeah, it's a personal story, and it's something that's kind of like its own unique little thing. It's got its own flavor. Memoirs are also in graphic novel forms too. There's some really, really strong, heavy-hitting ones. And not all memoir is like upsetting. Like there's some really fun memoirs out there. You know, not everybody who writes a memoir.
They can be about just this one summer. They could be
usually like there's something interesting going on, but it doesn't always have to be utter tragedy. It could just straight up be like, I grew up a little this week. Like, let me tell you about my self-discovery. Or, you know, the time grandpa took me to the zoo, you know, like that stuff is really fun.
So the last one I have here that we have shelved in nonfiction, in biography is Mary's Monster. So it's a biography of Mary Shelley, and how she created Frankenstein.
I was gonna say, like, who's she? I know who she is. I had to be there for the audience in case.
But it's illustrated poetry.
Oh, love that.
So not like these are all it's factual poetry.
Yeah.
You're getting the real story.
So if you're like, I only like horror, guess what? If you're like, I'm really not into traditional novels, guess what? Or if you're like, I really don't like poetry. You know, these are so good. these are they're so accessible.
Or maybe you do like nonfiction, but you're like, can it be nonfiction, but something not traditional nonfiction?
Or you know, like you're averse to the classics. This is like classic adjacent. This is adjacent to a lot of different things, which is really cool. Poetry in general, I find intimidating on a good day. But having a like running narrative throughout the whole thing makes it very accessible to me. And I've read some phenomenal verse novels and poetries and things like that really it's so good. So
that's cool. It's interesting, unique, a unique format, a unique way to tell the story. But one that I think suits Mary Shelley. You know, like this works for who she was. And in the end, they do have some more traditional authors know more about Mary Shelley. Other authors of the time. and what they were reading and writing. So it does, again, really like root it in history.
Yeah. And yeah, it's got some really nice tone to it. Just the illustrations by itself are just like haunting.
Yeah.
Which you kind of want with the kind of story that she provided. And like her own story is pretty haunting too. So I think
great.
she's pretty great. She's got
weirdo, but she's great.
You know, you gotta be in order to come up with and write Frankenstein. And then, you know, like there's a lot of legend and lore about this woman. I think it's deserved.
Okay.
What are we thinking?
So now, what if?
We have 3 more. It's a good question.
I'm trying to think of like the ends for each of these, because all of these, again, are gateway.
So let's say you're just like somebody who doesn't. You're just like, I don't want to read anything. Like, or it takes a really well. It's just like it takes, or you think that you don't want to read anything.
Okay.
Because it's kind of hard to like dive into a world that you don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
But what if you are a person who watches movies and you're pretty well versed in pop culture and you're all up on the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Truthy facts.
And maybe you even watch the TV shows.
Perhaps.
And so you're like, I know who Loki is.
I do know who Loki is.
Okay, let's read a book on Loki.
Yeah. It's just, look, fan fiction's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
I'm not saying this is fan fiction, but I'm also not saying it's not.
It's like, what is in between canon and fan fiction?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Right there.
It's
authorized.
Who wrote it.
It's authorized fanfic.
Yeah.
It's got the Marvel branding on it. Marvel said this is okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's not MCU canon.
Right. It is its own standalone story. So this is Loki as you know him, but also different.
This is before the days of going toe to toe with the Avengers. So this is younger Loki. We have this in our young adult section, so this is going to be more of like teen young adult Loki. And some adventures.
He's gonna be snarky.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be a wild time. And that's kind of what's fun with it. I mean, the subtitle is Where Mischief Lies. So, I mean,
tricky.
It's gonna be a fun little time. But yeah, you're gonna have like some heisty elements to it and some like adventure elements. There's gonna definitely be a part where things go horribly wrong. And you know, you're gonna have to scramble and solve that problem, probably one that he caused himself.
And at the end of it, you've read a fantasy book.
And yeah, and that's a fantasy book. Or like this is also good if you like mythology. Or you're just like, I love mythology, but I only know like Greek mythology. Loki is based on Norse mythology, and I do say based because Marvel Loki is based on Norse mythology. Because the Norse Loki is quite his own story. But like there's a lot of things where there's going to be some familiarities with some stuff and sort of like dip your toe in a different little way. And they're a lot of fun.
And maybe Loki's not your character. Come check out the shows.
What about Catwoman?
Catwoman, we have Batman.
Wonder Woman.
The whole DC lineup is there.
All of the Disney villains. We've got novels on like each one of those. We have Twisted Tales, the Disney ones, where it's like,
what if? It's like what if Disney.
Yeah, it's what if Disney. Like what if the witch gave Merida a different spell, or what if Tiana didn't get the right, like all of these things.
Yeah.
Some of them go dark, real dark.
And then, you know, I mean, that's where Percy Jackson comes out of.
Yeah.
You know, that's Greek mythology. But then there's also non-Rick Riordan ones that are Greek mythology. So if you have any favorite character, there's Alice in Wonderland. There's Wizard of Oz. Whatever your like go-to pop culture thing is. We can probably find you
for sure.
A retelling, some sort of
something in any way that you want. And those sorts of things go across the board with like types from traditional novels to graphic novels and manga, all the way to like adults to teen to children's. They're across the board. Because stories built.
I mean, even video
stories.
games. There's Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
books. There's Minecraft books.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot.
They're gonna make a Minecraft movie, so of course there's a Minecraft book.
Yeah,
I guess they already did make it.
right.
But yeah, that's another, like, for someone who doesn't see themselves as a reader of a specific genre, or even as a reader,
Yeah.
sometimes those can be some good gateways into reading. Is find something you are already familiar with, you already know the story and like the story.
Yeah.
And let's put it in a different format or somehow switch it up.
It's good time.
Yeah. All right, we have 2 left.
Yeah.
Neither of us have read either of these.
This is true.
We just know that they cross genre.
Yeah.
This one, I know we've talked to a lot of kids about, The Last Girl Standing, because this is the sort of book that a lot of our teens like.
Yeah.
It is about a serial killer. For better or for worse, that is what is popular here in our library right now.
Oddly, it's we need a lot of books about it because it is a constant ask for. I think the Jeffrey Dahmer series kind of really kicked it off strong. It was already there, but that
really
boosted
it.
And then it's kind of still the trickle down aspect of that sort of thing.
So yeah, slashers, all sorts of that is very popular. So this is one that we talk to kids about because it is it's about a summer camp, very reminiscent of Friday the 13th and the Jason movies, where they basically all the kids get murdered except the last girl standing, right? There's always a final girl. So it, again, as we were talking about with Loki, there's that easy in for kids who have seen the Jason movies and know that genre.
There's familiarity with it. You kind of know what the paces are and those sorts of things. There's some comfort because you know the structure, the rhythm. That's the word.
The twist with this one is that it's not just a straight horror. There is a romance element to it. So it's like a horror romance. Yes, it's the last girls standing. So 2 girls standing in love.
One of them literally standing. The other
one of them maybe the murderer.
Ooh.
So yeah.
See, that's always fun too.
Horror and romance. That's the little tag we have put on it to help kids find it.
Yeah. So our last book is Futureland, The Nightmare Hour. This is, I do think this is actually a sequel. Oh. It is number 2. So the first one is Futureland Battle for the Park. So these are just one of the newer ones. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so what is fun? When it just kicked the desk. I'm so sorry. There are many things. We have traditional
in crime.
This is in crime. This is in crime. So we've got our traditional novels, but then there's also little things that have little documents and stuff.
Yeah.
There's text logs, but then just flipping through the whole entire thing. There's also some pages are illustrated and a little more graphic-y novel-y. But that's in the few. So it's bouncing around. You've got sort of different perspectives based off of the evidences that they're found. Each one is sort of a crime. So this is a mixture of sci-fi and crime, and there's adventure in here too. This is all based around a sort of a theme park, but it's the park of your dreams. This is a place where in Futureland, this is where dreams literally come true. Cam Walker and his family are working with this theme park, and they are just determined to prove to the people of New York City that this park is here, it is back, and better than ever. The first one is all about reestablishing Futureland and getting it going and, solving the problems around this one. And in this one, Futureland is up and running, but there's glitches now. And suddenly there's a creepy new carnival that shows up, and he just like they just can't shake the fact that there's like something is there and it is watching and perhaps sabotaging. Is this a playground of terrors? Who knows? So a little bit of everything with this series too. There's like a little bit of like family drama and like how do you support your family and build things up. There's a little bit of mystery and crime. Like we said, this is set in crime, so actually there's probably a lot more than a little bit. Because who's doing the things and why is it so fishy? And this has a little bit of flavor of like horror in there too. Like it's,
I mean, yeah, it's a nightmare.
Guarantee there's a clown somewhere in here, you know? Yeah, there's dreams turn to nightmares and nightmares turn to dreams, I guess. So another good one to sort of like step into. And yeah, I mean, like we said, this is the second sequel of it. But ooh, that's a good illustration right there. There's some spooky demon eyes there going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This also looks like there's some really nice diversity to it too. Love a cover that has, you know, a lot of representation just shown right away. So yeah, there's the books. I have stacked them.
It's and this was, we gathered this in, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Of just looking into a genre and seeing what is here that can also kind of slip into another genre.
Yeah, and like even if you're just like absolutely none of those looks good to me, golden. Our job is to find something that you like.
This is not all we have here.
No, this is a very, very small smattering of what we have here.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of stuff that are on our in-shelf displays. In adult, like right when you walk out of the elevator, they have a big display of winter reading books
and staff picks.
Staff picks, which are great.
That the librarians have read and enjoyed.
They also have adult has bookmarks that kind of like have recommendations on them based off of like your favorite genre. And also they have librarians who are here to help you. And there's also us too. We'll here to help you out too. So there's a lot. Same thing with children's across the board. The whole idea is, let's find you something that you want to read.
Yeah, we always want to find the book that's right for you.
Right. I mean, that's the librarian's baseline job.
Yeah.
It is not the only thing that we do, by far, but it is sort of like that's the most stereotypical thing that we do, and it's one of the true ones. So yeah, if any of these look good to you, check them out at your library. Check them out at this library. If you have our library card or a Swan card or a reciprocal library card.
And I will have them on our catalog. We have a list of titles seen
on Twitch.
Yeah, and so I think that'll be going up in the next week or so.
Oh, right, cool.
And that will be like one of the main lists you see on our website.
Golden, yeah. So that list on our catalog has all of the books we have ever talked about throughout Book Buffet and beyond on it through Twitch.
So once you see it, you can bookmark it, always come back to it. You can come in the library and say, I know you talked about it on Twitch.
Yeah.
But then we have a place to go and reference.
Do it.
We can find
Have we also added the video games we played?
We have not, but we can.
We'll do that. Yeah. I mean, if we've seen it, we should do it.
Yeah.
Okay. What things are coming up on Twitch?
Let's Play.
So we've got the Let's Play on Tuesday. I'm going to double check these real fast, but I think there's also a resume one coming up. Looking on our website.
With construction, I know several things will be going virtual.
We're doing our best.
So things will come onto Twitch then.
Yeah. So we've got Twitch today. Is that when it is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Yeah. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we are doing cover letter basics. Matt will be here for that. And I think I'll be helping out with the moderating. So yeah, come and talk to me. We can learn about cover letter basics. I think this is a great skill to have anyway. So as the description says, your cover letter is a great way to enhance your job application. Learn to create and format a cover letter to the best to sell your skills and experience to potential employers. Even if you are very comfortably settled in your position, this is kind of some good skills to keep up. This is like, I think like what jobs and employers are looking for has changed. Like even within the last year, 5 years, definitely within the last 10 years, like it has changed. So this is a good thing to like just know what's coming. So this will be on our Twitch channel, as I think he's also doing it through Zoom. And then later it'll show up on our YouTube. So this is not lost information on you in any way, shape, or form. And then after that, on the 14th, that's not the 14th, that's the 15th. So on the 14th, we have Twitch, Let's Play Something New, and that's at 11:30 to 1. And like I said, I'll pick something from our new collection that we'll play. And it'll be in the Switch collection of things, because we have one of those. So why wouldn't we? So we'll see you then too. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Then back here for Book Buffet, and we'll figure out what we're doing for that one next week.
We'll see. It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise. Sometimes we plan them ahead of time, and sometimes we plan them when I show up in the morning. So, it's all about what we need at the time.
Balance.
It's balance. All right. Go check out books.
Go check out books.
Come and check out a book and get your winter reading little prize.
Enjoy
some
hot chocolate.
Enjoy those things.
Warm beverage.
Indeed.
Hydration nation.
Very important. All right, everyone. Have a great day. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.